In this episode of Travelogue, we'll show you a slice of China that modernity seems to have missed. We ventured deeper into Dali's countryside to explore the 1,000-year-old village of Nodong. We'll climb ancient stairways, savor a salted ham specialty, and meet some unforgettable characters.
Good morning from Yunnan County. We've just arrived and our next destination is just over there in these hills. It's the ancient settlement of Nodong. This ancient Bai settlement, one of the most well-preserved in all of Yunnan. It's known as the 1,000-year-old settlement and used to be a very important stop in the salt route. But those days as a busy centre are long gone, but still it's a spectacular sight and I can't wait for our stay there. Hi, I'm Katrina Yu and welcome to Travelogue.
Nodong is nestled deep in the mountains, and it's this isolation that has helped to preserve its customary way of life. It's almost completely free from modern architecture, so much so that it's often described as the village that time forgot. As we arrive, we hear that Mr. Huang, the manager of our guest house, is already waiting. And he's not alone.
This is one of the mules that is going to help us take up our stuff. Isn't he cute? I hope he's strong. Hello.
We rang ahead to give them time to prep the mules.
Those are really heavy pieces of luggage. It's going to be okay.
Mr. Huang operates one of the few guest houses in Nodong, but more are opening up all the time. His establishment is located in a prime spot at the top end of the village, where we're promised a great view of the landscape below. But first, we have to work for it.
Yes, we made it. This is the place where we'll be staying while we're in Nodong.
This guest house has around 10 rooms for rent, where guests can also enjoy Mrs. Huang's traditional Dali cooking. It's quaint and pretty rustic. There are only 2 toilets and 1 bathroom, which is shared by everyone. Thankfully, there are some modern conveniences, including wireless internet.
Well, this is it. Over there. Little hole. This is our home for the next 4 days. You know, you too can book a room like this for about 150 kwai a night. It is simple, but you know, for me, I think it's comfortable enough.
The 2 courtyards are perfect for catching your breath, chatting, or just soaking in the Yunnan sunshine. When we arrive, it's almost winter, but it definitely doesn't feel like it. The province has a moderate climate thanks to its position on China's plateau.
So we just settled into the guest house of Mr. Huang and we're relaxing a little after that. Long climb, what seems like an endless climb up this mountain. We're enjoying some tea, having some grapes, and preparing to explore the rest of Nodong.
Our first visit is to the village's natural salt wells. In ancient times, this crucial and expensive resource was used not only for flavouring food, but also for preserving it. This is still seen in dishes around the world today, from the Italian salami to Korean salted fish. Since long ago, people came from all over the region to buy Nodong salt. This so-called white gold was carried as far as India. Nodong remained a prosperous and busy trade centre until the nationalisation of the salt industry in the 1940s. Today, Nodong is better known for another product. The abundance of salt led to the development of a very special type of cured ham. It can be eaten by itself, but is also used to make up to 30 different dishes. These are just some examples of how the special ham can be prepared and served. Here we've got a really curious, delicious looking soup, which is bits of the ham as well as some egg. And this is the ham itself in all its glory. Now this has been aged for 3 years. Only pieces of meat that have been aged for 3 years can be eaten raw. You know, I thought that ham was a very limited thing. It could only be served in one way, but with these 4 dishes, I think I've been proven wrong. I think we're going to dig into the rest of it, you know, for research purposes. With bellies full and smiles on our faces, Mr. Huang takes us to see the old Confucius and Dao temple, perched high above the village. I'm really looking forward to seeing it, excited not only about what we'll find there, but who.
我们文庙背后还有个圣母庙，我说你们的小菜开到报分去了。
Mr. Li is one of the guards, and according to Mr. Huang, he knows everything there is to know about this temple. His passion for its history is said to be unrivaled, and he's also very proud of his Bai heritage, which he speaks about with equal enthusiasm.
这位就是我们这里守庙的老人家。
你好，你是白族吗？
我就是罗登的，我就是白族了。是吧？我们白族人就性格是不然，我们白族人就好开胃。
So Mr. Li has been telling us a little bit about this temple, which is a Taoist temple. Over there, there's a statue of Confucius, and what makes this temple a little different is that Confucius is actually dressed like a common person, whereas around the country with a lot of the Confucius temples, Confucius is dressed quite elaborately in imperial wear. So I suppose that really reflects the type of people that have always lived in this village.
很好。
Mr. Li is quite a character, but his heavy local accent and my very, very basic Mandarin make for some confusing moments.
把很多的外国人来这个地方吗？
外国人来那个多。
有来自全世界遍及全中国，有德语、法语、英语、俄罗斯语。
Luckily, I have some help, so we make the most of a difficult situation with patience and good humor.
你在罗东，你上吗？
我听不懂。
傻瓜啥？这不傻瓜。
为本地文化做点好事而已啊，发挥德语的，是吧？
你有你在罗东有家人吗？
有的嘛。这个我听得懂的。然后
把你们那个18本书借给他们看看。
留言簿啊？
到我们这份。
他说要请你去看。
等下你要给我留个言的。啊？
好。
拿出来留个纪念。啊？怎么？
我都可以把它拿出来。
哎，不，我们到这份。
Mr. Li is going to show us these 18 books that he's very proud of. It's filled with notes from visitors, so he's quite keen to show us. So let's go see.
来，我们的疾控的造访，是吧？
Or not. Mr. Li and I obviously need to work on our timing as well as our communication.
李先生，
Mr. Lee, Roy. Okay, you, Roy.
李先生先走了。好 let's go check them out.
他就活到老，学到老，学不了。
So these are all sorts of notes that people have left, and here's one in English. What a magical experience. The temple has been, all to the sound of the gentle flutes. So obviously when they came, there must have been some music. A beautiful man played and offered tea. So these visitors are from Sydney, where I'm from. So I'm not the first Sydney-sider to get here. Damn. I do eventually get to hear Mr. Li's flute, and it's lovely. Not just listening to the music, but watching him play it. It makes me realize that this temple, seemingly empty and falling apart, is still very much full of life and still giving life to the people of this village. I also learned how much it means to the Bai people. Their culture puts such a strong emphasis on knowledge and history, and I think that's perfectly reflected in Mr. Li.
You know, when I was told that we were coming to an old Confucius Temple and that we were going to meet a 70-year-old man who was going to give us a tour, I expected something quite straightforward, quite a formal historical background of this place. But meeting Mr. Li was anything but formal or straightforward. He's such an impressive character. At 70 years old, he travels all the way from his home to the temple, which is 2 hours away, tells people all about it. Then he goes back home for dinner, then comes back again to make sure everything is okay for the evening. It's just wonderful to see the passion that people like him have for places like this, and I suppose that's what keeps them so authentic and keeps them so alluring for visitors. And it also goes to show, I think, that places are really made by the people.
The start of our second day in Nodong. It's during the morning that you can really feel the peace and stillness that characterizes this village. Everything and everyone seems to move at a slightly slower pace. I'm no exception, making my way to a local museum. This is one of Nodong's oldest family museums, and it's currently being considered for special heritage status. Our guide is bursting with energy, wasting no time in showing us around. I, on the other hand, am a little slower in kicking into gear.
Now, this is also a Mr. Huang from the Fujian region originally. And he, well, sorry, I need to do it again.
好，再来一遍，黄老师。好，预备，开始。
好，请到楼上参观啊！楼上有几百件展品啊！
好，再来一遍，黄老师，您就带他直接上去啊，不要等他。
你不要直接上去。
对，您不要等他。
好，
好，我们再来一遍啊。好，预备，开始。
好，请到楼上参观，楼上有几百件展品啊。
Now, this is also a Mr. Huang, but his family is from the Fujian region. Now, we've heard that Mr. Huang is very famous for reciting a 28-minute history of this place. No more, no less than 28 minutes, and he can do it exactly the same way every time. By the way, this is like my 6th take because it's really early in the morning, but he has said the exact same thing 6 times already.
Okay, so I needed a couple or half dozen times to get it right. But Mr. Huang doesn't mind at all. Though I struggled with my words, he has his down to a T.
其他人家一样，以前我们就以主业为生了，就以景带根枝说了嘛，啊，后蜀就以农业为主了，那就是以前主盐装盐水的大缸，那就是以前主盐装盐水的大缸，装盐水的大缸，煮盐的大锅。
You see, Mr. Huang only finished primary school, so to do justice to the story of this museum, he enlisted the help of an academic. That academic wrote down the museum's history, which Mr. Huang memorized. And it's this perfectly practiced speech that he can recite again and again in the exact same way.
What a lovely man Mr. Huang is. He delivers his speech with such passion, such gusto, and I really find it quite endearing, all the effort he puts into it. You know, if you come here, I promise you'll get that same performance and you know exactly what I mean. Perhaps I should write it down, a version in English, and see if you can deliver that too. 你好，快坐嘛。
你们住在哪里呢？
啊，我是澳大利亚人。
哪里呢？
澳大利亚。
哪里啊？
对。Well, it's a nice sunny afternoon and the perfect time, I think, to visit another very famous guest house. This one here in Nodong.
This is the very first guest house that opened in Nodong. It's still a family home and the whole family is involved in the business. Cangshan Yu helps in the day-to-day running.
这个是我们那个结婚的喜房，就是2个人啊度蜜月或者怎么样可以来这边住，就条件简陋一点。
Walking around, you can smell the strong scent of tea, flowers, fruit, and different herbs. That's because the guest house doubles as a kind of health center.
现在爸爸弄的这个就是那个药茶了，很好喝的。这些全部是野生的，就是我爸爸自己去山上采的。然后这些都是那个爸爸自己采的药，这些药性很好的，你闻一下味道，很香。我爸爸他那个大概1个月，他出去帮别人打针嘛，然后就是星期1出去，可能星期6、星期天才能回来，然后拉的马，大概走山路要走1天，爬好几座山嘛，去帮别人看病，然后那些村民都很好，帮他采药的，
While her father concocts herbal teas and medicines which are sent all over China, her grandfather checks the health of those who walk in. He's a traditional Chinese medicine doctor and offers to give me a checkup.
He looks so serious. I wonder if I should be worried. The good news is I'm healthy. I've got a good pulse, but he also says that I've got inner heat. How? Well, he said that to fix my inner heat problem, I need to drink some of this tea. This isn't just any ordinary tea. It has some special medicinal properties. It's a very light, pleasant tasting flower tea.
While the guest house has an interesting past, I find the prospect of its future more fascinating. Cangshan Yu is unlike any Nodong local I've met so far. She's in her 20s, is fashion-forward, shops online, and studies medicine at university. Like many her age, she could easily move to the city, but she's chosen to stay and help build the business. She dreams of one day shipping their teas all over the globe and turning their guest house into a world-famous wellness center. I can't help but feel inspired by her vision and love, not just for what Nodong is today, but what it could be tomorrow. Up next on Travelogue, I turn teacher for a day during a visit to the local school. Nodong students teach me an important lesson about animals, and I get put through my paces by some very talented tiny dancers. Up bright and early with the roosters, marking a very special start to our last day in the village of Nodong. Education has always been very important to the Bai people, so it's understandable why this school is the only new building in the village. Here, about 100 primary school-aged children receive a thorough education, including lessons in English. It's actually very rare for a primary school in such an isolated mountainous area to teach English. And today, I've been asked to lend a hand.
今天呢，非常荣幸呀，我们来了一位新老师，给他们上这一课，大家说好不好？好。
你们好，我叫 Katrina， 我来找你们唱 Old MacDonald， 你们知道吗？不知道？谁知道？都不知道。好 ，OK， 开始。
I've never taught a class before, so as you can see, I'm nervous.
Old MacDonald had 有一个农场。这个谁知道什么意思？猫。别的东西。
Laughing at me or with me? You decide. Eventually, we get the hang of it. Me teaching and then singing this strange nursery rhyme. This morning, I've learned a thing or two. Not just how to teach nursery rhymes, but did you know that animals from different countries also speak different languages? Where I come from, dogs say woof woof. In China, it's wang wang. Go figure. But my education for the day is far from over. I've always believed that to get the most out of life, you have to be willing to try new things, even if your pride is at stake. Well, class is over and it's time to get some exercise. I taught them an English song. Now they're going to teach me a dance. A special country dance. so I'm definitely not as good as these kids. But I have to admit, it's kind of fun. In future, I might not remember the steps, but I don't think I'll ever forget that school.
Coming to Nodong, I got exactly what I was promised. Stepping into this village is like stepping into life in China as it was hundreds of years ago. But I got more than that. It's full of people who are vibrant, fascinating, full of big ideas and dreams, and who are very welcoming. And I think it's the people of Nodong that will make sure this village has a bright future for hundreds and hundreds of years to come. I'm Katrina Yu. Thank you for watching Travelogue, and we'll see you next time.